Dr. Zara Veltash moved her clawed fingers across the glowing screen. The data scrolled past her reptilian eyes like a river of light. 10,000 years of research filled the massive computer banks around her. All of it was about one species, humans. She had been studying humans for over 300 years. Her mentor before her had studied them for 500 years. Before that, another researcher had watched them for 200 years. The chain went back and back all the way to the beginning, to the day when the Galactic Consortium first found humans on their small blue planet called Earth. The research station hung in the void between stars. Kepler Research Station was the size of a small moon. Inside its metal halls, scientists from 800 different species worked together, but most of them worked on the human project. It was the biggest research project in galactic history. Zara's office looked out into space through a wide window. She could see human ships passing by. They came and went freely. No guards stopped them. No one questioned where they were going. Humans had been given more freedom than any other species. It had always puzzled her. A soft chime told her someone was at her door. She touched a button and the door slid open. Jake Collins walked into her office. He was tall for a human with brown hair and kind eyes. He had worked on the station for 15 years. He helped translate human culture for the other researchers. "Good morning, Dr. Veltash," Jake said with his usual smile. "How is the final report coming along?" Zara's scaled face showed a small frown. "It is almost finished. The complete compendium of human knowledge will be ready next week." 10,000 years of research in one massive database. Jake's smile seemed to grow wider. "That's wonderful news. Every species in the galaxy will finally understand humans completely." Something about his tone made Zara pause. She had heard that same tone before from other humans. It was almost like they were happy about being studied. More than happy. They seemed eager for it. "Jake," she said slowly, "I must ask you something. In all my years of research, I have never understood why humans allow this. Every other species we studied fought back. They demanded privacy. They wanted the research to stop, but humans have always been different." Jake sat down in the chair across from her desk. His hands folded in his lap. The smile never left his face. "We're a curious species, Dr. Veltash. We like to learn, and we like to help others learn too. But surely some humans must object. In 10,000 years, surely some humans have complained about being watched and tested and studied." "Some have," Jake admitted. "But our leaders have always encouraged cooperation with the consortium. We believe that understanding between species is important." Zara nodded, but she still felt confused. She had studied the records of first contact, with hundreds of species. Every single one had shown some resistance to being studied. Some had fought wars to stop the research. Others had demanded payment or trade agreements. A few had simply refused all contact, but not humans. From the very first day, humans had welcomed the researchers. They had opened their cities, their schools, their homes. They had answered every question. They had volunteered for every test. It was completely unique in galactic history. "There is something else that puzzles me," Zara continued. "Humans are now spread across nearly every sector of the galaxy. You have colonies on thousands of worlds. You have members in our governments, our militaries, our research centers. Yet you started from just one small planet. How did you expand so quickly?" Jake's brown eyes seemed to sparkle. "We're adaptable, we make friends easily. Other species seem to like having us around." That was true, Zara thought. Humans did seem to fit in everywhere. Every major institution in the galaxy had human employees. Every government had human advisors. Every military had human officers. They were helpful and friendly, and everyone trusted them. Maybe that was what bothered her. Humans were too perfect as subjects, too willing to be studied, too eager to help, too quick to spread across the galaxy without anyone seeing them as a threat. After Jake left her office, Zara returned to her work. The final report was nearly complete. Soon it would be sent to every world in the galaxy. Every species would have complete access to everything the consortium had learned about humans. Their biology, their psychology, their technology, their culture, their history. Everything. She was proud of the work. It represented the greatest research project ever completed. But something nagged at her mind. A feeling that she was missing something important. Late that night, when the station was quiet, Zara decided to review the communication logs. She wanted to make sure there were no errors in the data transfer systems. The report was too important to have technical problems, as She scrolled through thousands of routine messages. Something caught her eye. A communication burst that had been sent 3 days ago. It was heavily encrypted. The encryption was human in origin. Her clawed fingers worked quickly on the keyboard. She had learned to break human codes during her research. It took her 2 hours to crack this one. When the message finally appeared on her screen, she felt her blood turn cold. The message was short, only 1 line of text. But those words changed everything she thought she knew about humans. Phase 1 complete. Initiate Phase 2 upon publication. Zara stared at the screen for a long time. Her mind raced with questions. What was Phase 1? What was Phase 2? Who had sent this message? And why was it timed to happen when the research report was published? She thought about Jake's smile, about how happy he had seemed when she told him the report was almost ready, about how eager humans had always been to be studied, about how they had spread across the galaxy without anyone questioning their motives. For the first time in 300 years of research, Dr. Zara Veltash began to wonder if the humans were really the subjects of this study, or if perhaps, somehow, they were the ones doing the studying. Dr. Zara Veltash could not sleep. The encrypted message played over and over in her mind. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 upon publication. What did it mean? She had spent 3 days trying to find more messages like it. She found nothing. But the silence itself felt wrong. She decided to do something she had never done before. Instead of studying humans, she would study what humans were doing throughout the galaxy. She began pulling records from every research station, every government building, every military base that employed humans. What she found made her scales turn pale. On Research Station Alpha in the Vega system, there were 43 alien researchers and 1 human liaison named Ben Clark. On the military base at Proxima Centauri, there were 200 alien officers and 1 human advisor named Karen Davis. On the Government Council of the Rigel Colony, there were 15 alien representatives and 1 human cultural consultant named Tony Martinez. The pattern was everywhere. Every important place in the galaxy had at least 1 human, sometimes more. They were always in helpful positions, always friendly, always trusted, and always watching. Zara called up the personnel files. Ben Clark had been at Station Alpha for 20 years. Before that, he had worked at 3 other research stations. Karen Davis had been with the military for 30 years, moving between different bases and fleets. Tony Martinez had worked for 7 different governments over 40 years. None of this was illegal. Humans were free citizens of the galaxy. They could work anywhere they wanted. But when Zara added up all the numbers, the result was shocking. There were over 50,000 humans working in key positions across galactic civilization. They were in every government, every military, every research center, every trading post. For a species that claimed to be simple and curious, humans had spread themselves very widely indeed. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. She looked up to see Lisa Park standing in the doorway. Lisa was another human who worked on the station. She helped with cultural translation and communication protocols. Dr. Veltash, Lisa said with a gentle smile. Jake told me you were working late again. I brought you some tea. Lisa set a steaming cup on Zara's desk. The smell was pleasant and familiar. It was a human drink that had become popular throughout the galaxy. Like so many human things, it seemed harmless and friendly. Lisa, Zara said, carefully, may I ask you something about human culture? Of course, that's what I'm here for. In your travels, have you met many other humans working in positions like yours? Lisa's smile never changed, but something flickered in her eyes. Oh yes, we humans like to help other species understand us. It's important work. How do you coordinate this work? Do you have meetings? Communications? We stay in touch, Lisa said simply. We share experiences. We learn from each other. Zara nodded slowly. And do you keep records of what you learn about the species you work with? For just a moment, Lisa's smile seemed to freeze. Then it returned to normal. We're naturally curious, Dr. Veltash. We observe things, we remember things, it's just human nature. After Lisa left, Zara felt more confused than ever. She decided to contact an old friend. Vosh Tarn was an insectoid researcher who had been studying humans longer than almost anyone. He had been part of the original team that first discovered humans 10,000 years ago. The communication link crackled to life. Vosh Tarn's compound eyes looked tired. He was old even by insectoid standards. Zara, he clicked in greeting. It has been many years. What brings you to contact me? Vosh, I need to ask you about the early days of human research, when you first found them on Earth. Vosh's antennae twitched. Those were interesting times. The humans were so primitive then, stone tools, simple farming, no technology to speak of. But they were cooperative. More than cooperative, they were fascinated by us. They asked countless questions. They wanted to know everything about space travel, about other worlds, about galactic civilization. Did that seem strange to you? Vosh paused. His compound eyes dimmed slightly. At the time, we thought they were simply very curious, but now that you mention it, yes, it was strange. Most primitive species are frightened when they first encounter aliens. Humans seemed almost like they had been expecting us. What do you mean? They adapted too quickly. Within a few years, they were asking about joining galactic society. They wanted to send representatives to other worlds. They seemed to understand complex concepts that should have taken decades to grasp. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Vosh, in all your years of research, have you ever wondered if humans might be studying us while we study them? The old insectoid was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very soft. Zara, there is something I never put in the official records, something that has bothered me for 10,000 years. What is it? When we first arrived at Earth, we detected ruins, very old ruins. They were buried deep underground, covered by millions of years of geological deposits. The ruins showed evidence of advanced technology, far more advanced than anything humans were using at the time. Zara's claws gripped the edge of her desk. What kind of technology? Starship construction facilities, computer systems, energy weapons. The ruins were so old that most of the equipment had decayed beyond recognition. But the layout, the design principles, they were more sophisticated than anything we had at the time. Did you tell the other researchers? I tried to, but the human liaisons we had brought with us said the ruins were probably from some other species that had visited Earth long ago. They seemed very eager to focus our attention on current human culture instead of ancient mysteries. Zara understood now. The humans had been guiding the research from the very beginning. They had shown the alien researchers exactly what they wanted them to see. Nothing more, nothing less. Vosh, she said quietly, I think we need to talk to the other senior researchers. All of them. I think we've been looking at this backwards for 10,000 years. As she ended the communication, Zara realized that the complete compendium of human knowledge was not a record of what they had discovered about humans. It was a record of what humans had allowed them to discover. Every piece of data, every cultural insight, every biological sample had been carefully provided by humans themselves. The watchers had become the watched. And tomorrow, when the compendium was published throughout the galaxy, Phase 2 would begin. The complete compendium of human knowledge went live at exactly noon, Galactic Standard Time. Dr. Zara Veltash watched the transmission counter as the massive database uploaded to communication networks across the galaxy. 847. Different species would now have access to 10,000 years of human research. She felt proud and terrified at the same time. Proud because the work was finally complete. Terrified because she knew something was about to happen. Something that had been planned for a very long time. The first reports came in 3 hours later. Research Station Beta in the Sirius system. had lost all communications. Then Station Gamma near Arcturus went dark. Within 6 hours, over 200 research facilities had reported technical problems. At first, the problems seemed random. Computer systems crashed, communication arrays failed, security networks went offline. But as more reports came in, Zara began to see the pattern. Every facility that employed humans was having technical difficulties. Facilities without human staff were running normally. Commander Crick's hollow mind materialized in Zara's office. His crystalline body sparkled with nervous energy. As the military liaison for Kepler Station, he was responsible for security. Dr. Veltash, his voice rang like breaking glass. We have a serious problem. Military bases across 3 sectors have lost contact with Fleet Command. Government buildings on 12 worlds have had their data networks compromised. Something is happening on a galactic scale. Zara nodded grimly. It started exactly when we published the compendium. You think this is connected to your human research? Before Zara could answer, her computer screen flickered. New data was streaming in, but it was not coming from the usual sources. The transmission signature was human in origin, but it was more sophisticated than any human technology she had seen before. The data formed words on her screen, a message addressed directly to her. Dr. Veltash, please report to Docking Bay 7. Come alone. It is time for you to learn the truth about humanity. Commander Crix read the message over her shoulder. His crystalline form flashed with alarm. This could be a trap. You should not go alone. But Zara was already moving toward the door. She had spent 300 years studying humans. She needed to know what they really were. Docking Bay 7 was normally used for small transport ships. When Zara arrived, she found a vessel unlike anything she had seen before. It was clearly human in design, but the technology was far more advanced than anything in the official records. The hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Energy. Patterns danced across its surface in complex mathematical sequences. A woman stepped out of the ship. She was tall and confident, with gray hair and sharp eyes. She wore a uniform that Zara did not recognize. It was clearly military, but not from any human organization in the galactic databases. Dr. Veltash, the woman said, my name is General Patricia Stone. I represent the true government of humanity. Thank you for coming. The true government? Zara's voice was barely a whisper. The government that has been hidden for 10,000 years. The government that decided long ago that humanity needed to step back from galactic politics and find a better way to ensure peace. General Stone gestured toward her ship. Please come aboard. There are some people you need to meet. Inside the ship, Zara found herself in a conference room that defied the laws of physics she knew. The walls showed real-time images of locations across the galaxy. She could see human agents working at their posts in research stations, military bases, and government buildings. All of them were calm and focused, as if they had been preparing for this day their entire lives. A man with kind eyes and graying temples stood up as they entered. Dr. Veltash, I am Dr. Alex Turner. I study the evolution of galactic civilization. You study what? For 10,000 years, we have been watching how different species interact. We have seen wars that destroyed entire star systems. We have seen peaceful species conquered by aggressive ones. We have seen promising civilizations collapse because they could not adapt to contact with others. General Stone activated a holographic display. It showed the galaxy as it had been 10,000 years ago. Hundreds of species were fighting for territory and resources. Wars burned across dozens of sectors. This was the galaxy when we first made contact with the consortium, she said. We were already a spacefaring civilization. We had colonies on 50 worlds. We had technology that could have made us a major galactic power. Then why did you hide? Zara asked. Dr. Turner smiled sadly. Because we learned something important from our own history. Every time a new power emerged in the galaxy, it led to conflict. We realized that if we wanted to prevent another galactic war, we needed to find a different approach. So you pretended to be primitive. We stepped back. We allowed other species to believe we were harmless. We positioned ourselves as helpful observers rather than potential threats. And while the galaxy studied us, we studied the galaxy. The holographic display changed, showing the current state of galactic civilization. The wars had stopped. Trade networks connected thousands of worlds. Different species worked together in ways that had seemed impossible 10,000 years ago. Gus, Galactic Consortium has been the most successful interspecies alliance in known history, General Stone said. But it did not happen by accident. It happened because we guided it. You manipulated us, Zara said, her voice filled with anger. We helped you, Dr. Turner corrected gently. Every piece of advice our agents gave, every cultural translation they provided, every technical solution they suggested, was designed to promote cooperation and understanding between species. Zara thought about all the human liaisons she had known. Jake Collins with his helpful smile, Lisa Park with her gentle questions, thousands of humans working quietly throughout the galaxy to keep the peace. The technical problems happening across the galaxy right now, she said slowly. You are causing them. General Stone nodded. We are demonstrating something important. If we had wanted to conquer the galaxy, we could have done it at any time. The systems failing right now are not broken. They are under our control. Every defense network, every communication system, every computer database that contains critical infrastructure has human-designed components. But why reveal this now? Dr. Turner's expression became very serious. Because Phase 2 is not about conquest, Dr. Veltash. Phase 2 is about preparation. We have been monitoring long-range sensors for decades. Something is coming from outside our galaxy, something that will require every species to work together if we want to survive. The holographic display shifted again, showing the void between galaxies. In the darkness, moving slowly but steadily toward them, was a fleet of unknown ships. They were still decades away, but they were coming. We spent 10,000 years learning how to unite the galaxy in peace, General Stone said. Now we need to use that unity to face the greatest challenge any of us have ever encountered. Zara stared at the approaching fleet, finally understanding the true scope of human planning. They had not been hiding from galactic civilization. They had been preparing it. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 12 hours after the technical failures started. Representatives from 847 species gathered on the neutral world of Concordia. Dr. Zara Veltash watched the proceedings from the observation deck. She was no longer just a researcher. She had become a witness to the most important moment in galactic history. Council Speaker Vrex stood at the center of the Great Hall. His blue skin was dark with anger. The Altarian leader had served the Council for over 200 years. He had never faced a crisis like this. Fellow beings, his voice echoed through the chamber. We face an unprecedented situation. Our communications are compromised. Our defense systems are under control of an unknown force. Our very civilization is at the mercy of those we trusted most. Angry voices rose from the assembled delegates. Some called for immediate military action against all human colonies. Others demanded that humans be expelled from every government position they held. Fear and confusion filled the air like a poisonous cloud. In the human section of the gallery, Jake Collins sat quietly. His calm expression had not changed since the crisis began. Next to him, Lisa Park took notes on a small device. They seemed completely unafraid. Ambassador Kate Wilson entered the chamber through the main doors. She walked with the confidence of someone who had been preparing for this moment her entire life. Behind her came a group of humans that Zara had never seen before. They wore simple clothes, but something about them suggested great authority. Speaker Vrex's voice cut through the noise. Ambassador Wilson, the Council demands an explanation. Are humans responsible for the attacks on our infrastructure? Kate Wilson stepped to the center of the hall. When she spoke, her voice was clear and strong. Honored delegates, there have been no attacks. What you have experienced are demonstrations, proof of capabilities that we have kept hidden for 10,000 years. The hall erupted in angry shouts. Several delegates stood up, their various forms of communication organs producing sounds of outrage. Speaker Vrex called for order, but the chaos continued. Ambassador Wilson waited patiently. When the noise finally died down, she continued, "We understand your anger. We understand your fear. But we ask you to listen before you judge us." A tall being made of living crystal spoke up. "You have deceived us for millennia. You have placed spies in our governments. You have stolen our secrets. How can we trust anything you say?" "Because," said a new voice from the entrance, "we have been protecting you from threats you never knew existed." Admiral Scott Johnson walked into the chamber. His military uniform was different from any human military organization on record. Behind him came a group of officers from various species. But these were not consortium military. Their uniforms bore symbols that no one in the council had seen before. "Admiral Johnson," Speaker Vrex said carefully, "what military force do you represent?" "The Hidden Fleet," Johnson replied simply. "Ships and crews that have been operating in the void between galaxies for the past 5,000 years. He activated a holographic projector. The image showed space beyond the galactic rim. In the darkness, massive shapes moved between the stars. Ships that were clearly not from any known civilization. "These vessels have been monitoring the approach of an extragalactic force," Johnson continued. "We have been fighting a shadow war against their advanced scouts for decades. Every year they send probe ships into our galaxy. Every year we destroy them before they can report back." The chamber fell silent. The magnitude of what Johnson was saying began to sink in. Dr. Zara Veltash stood up in the observation deck. "Admiral, how long have you known about this threat?" Johnson looked up at her. "Dr. Veltash, we have known since the day we first encountered the Galactic Consortium. Our long-range sensors detected the approaching fleet 10,000 years ago. That is why we chose to step back from galactic politics. We needed time to prepare." Speaker Vrex's blue skin had turned pale. "You are saying that everything humans have done for 10 millennia has been preparation for war?" "Not war," Ambassador Wilson corrected. "Survival. The approaching fleet represents a civilization that has consumed 3 galaxies. They do not negotiate. They do not trade. They consume everything in their path and move on." She activated another holographic display. This one showed the ruins of star systems, worlds stripped of all resources, suns drained of their energy. The images were horrifying. "Our scouts have found the remains of civilizations that tried to fight them alone," Wilson continued. "Species far more advanced than any in our galaxy. They all fell because they could not unite in time." An insectoid delegate clicked nervously. "How do we know you are telling the truth? How do we know this is not another deception?" Admiral Johnson smiled grimly. "Because we are going to show you." The lights in the chamber dimmed. Through the transparent dome overhead, space began to change. Ships appeared as if materializing from nothing. Hundreds of them, then thousands. They were sleek and powerful, clearly built for war, but they flew in perfect formation around the Council world. "The Hidden Fleet," Johnson said quietly. "Ships built in secret shipyards throughout the galaxy. Crews trained from birth to fight an enemy that most of the galaxy has never seen. Technology developed by combining the best innovations from every species, including advances that we have kept hidden for millennia." The delegates stared upward in amazement and terror. The ships above them represented military power beyond anything they had imagined. "Why reveal this now?" Speaker Vrex asked. Ambassador Wilson's expression became very serious. "Because the main fleet will arrive in 47 years, and because we cannot face them alone. Every simulation we have run shows the same result. Even with the Hidden Fleet, even with all our preparations, we need the combined strength of every species in the galaxy." She looked around the chamber at the assembled delegates. "For 10,000 years we have guided galactic civilization toward unity and cooperation. We have prevented wars. We have encouraged trade and cultural exchange. We have built trust between species that were once enemies. All in preparation for this moment," Dr. Zara Veltash said from the observation deck. "Yes," Wilson replied. "All in preparation for the day when we would need to ask you to trust us completely, to follow human leadership in a war for the survival of our galaxy." The chamber was quiet for a long time. Finally, Speaker Vrex spoke. "What do you propose?" Admiral Johnson stepped forward. "A complete restructuring of galactic defense. Unified command, shared technology. Every ship, every weapon, every resource focused on a single goal. Not human conquest of the galaxy, but galactic survival under human strategic guidance. And if we refuse?" asked a delegate from the far corner. Ambassador Wilson's voice was gentle but firm. "Then in 47 years, when the enemy arrives, they will find a galaxy divided and unprepared. And every civilization that we have spent 10,000 years helping to flourish will be consumed by an enemy that knows only hunger." The vote would take place in 3 days. But as Zara watched the human delegates, she realized they were not worried about the outcome. They had been preparing for this moment for 10,000 years. They knew exactly what would happen next. The vote was closer than anyone expected. 423 species voted to accept the human proposal. 424 voted against it. It came down to one final vote from the newest member of the consortium, a small, aquatic species called the Melody. Dr. Zara Veltash held her breath as the Melody representative rose from their water tank. The chamber was completely silent. 10,000 years of human planning hung on this one decision. "The Melody have listened to all arguments," the representative said through their translation device. "We are a young species. We have been part of galactic civilization for only 50 years. But in that time, we have seen how humans help others, how they teach without demanding payment, how they protect without asking for control." The representative paused, water rippling around their form. "We have also learned something important from human history teachers. Sometimes the greatest courage is not in fighting but in trusting." The Melody vote yes. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some delegates cheered, others expressed anger or fear. But the decision was made. The galaxy would unite under human leadership to face the approaching threat. Ambassador Kate Wilson stood at the center of the hall. Her face showed relief but also the weight of enormous responsibility. "Thank you for your trust. We will not waste it." Speaker Vrex approached her. His blue skin had returned to its normal color, but his eyes still showed uncertainty. "Ambassador Wilson, what happens now?" "Now we begin the real work," Wilson replied. "Admiral Johnson will coordinate military preparations. But we also need to prepare our civilizations mentally and emotionally for what is coming." Over the following weeks, changes swept across the galaxy like a tide. Human advisors who had worked quietly in the background for centuries stepped forward as open leaders. Research stations that had studied humans for millennia became training centers for combined species military units. Dr. Zara Veltash found herself in a position she had never imagined. She was appointed as the first director of interspecies combat psychology. Her job was to help different species learn to fight together effectively. Jake Collins was no longer just a liaison officer. He became the head of the new Galactic Intelligence Network. His friendly smile remained, but now everyone knew what it really meant. He had been one of the most successful intelligence operatives in galactic history. Lisa Park took charge of cultural integration programs. Her gentle questions, which had seemed so innocent for years, had actually been preparing the groundwork for the massive cooperation effort now underway. The changes were not easy. Many species struggled to accept human authority. Some military officers resigned rather than take orders from humans. A few colonies declared independence and refused to participate in the defense preparations. But slowly, the galaxy began to transform. Shipyards that had built civilian vessels for centuries retooled to produce warships. Scientists who had studied peaceful applications of technology turned their skills to weapons development. Traders and diplomats learned to coordinate supply lines for military operations. The most surprising change was in humanity itself. For 10,000 years, humans had hidden their true nature. Now they revealed technologies and capabilities that amazed even their closest allies. Human ships that had seemed simple and functional transformed into sophisticated war machines. Human colonies that had appeared to be peaceful farming communities revealed themselves as massive industrial complexes. Human students and workers throughout the galaxy shed their humble facades and became military commanders and strategic planners. 1 year after the vote, Dr. Zara Veltash stood in the command center of the new Galactic Defense Headquarters. The facility had been built in the space between galaxies, hidden from enemy sensors but positioned to coordinate the defense of every inhabited system. Admiral Scott Johnson approached her. In his hands was a data pad containing the latest intelligence reports. "Dr. Veltash, I wanted you to see this personally." She read the report carefully. Her scaled face showed growing amazement. "Admiral, these numbers, they cannot be correct." "They are correct," Johnson said with a slight smile. "In 1 year, we have built a combined fleet of over 2 million ships. We have established supply lines that can support operations across the entire galaxy. We have trained integrated crews from 600 different species. But how is this possible? Even with human technology, this level of coordination should take decades." "It did take decades," Johnson replied. "We have been quietly preparing infrastructure for this moment for over 1,000 years. Every human colony was positioned to become a strategic resource. Every human advisor was placed to facilitate rapid mobilization when the time came." Zara shook her head in wonder. "The depth of your planning is incredible." "Dr. Veltash," a new voice said behind them, "there is something else you should know." Ambassador Wilson had entered the command center. With her was an elderly human man that Zara had never seen before. He wore no uniform or official insignia, but something about him suggested great importance. "This is Dr. Marcus Webb," Wilson said. "He has been monitoring our long-range sensor networks." Dr. Webb activated a holographic display. It showed the approaching enemy fleet, but the image was much clearer than before. "We have good news and concerning news," he said. "The good news is that our preparations have not gone unnoticed. The enemy fleet has slowed its approach. They are taking time to study us, which gives us more time to prepare." "And the concerning news?" Zara asked. "They have changed course. Instead of approaching from one direction, they have split their fleet. They will attack from 3 different vectors simultaneously. This suggests a level of tactical sophistication that we had not expected." Admiral Johnson studied the display. "How long do we have?" 52 years instead of 47, Dr. Webb replied. "But we will face a more complex battle than we originally planned." Ambassador Wilson looked at the assembled officers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have accomplished something remarkable in the past year. We have united 847 different species under a single command structure. We have built the largest military force in galactic history, and we have done it without a single major conflict between our member species." She paused, looking out at the stars beyond the command center's windows. "But our real test is still ahead of us. In 52 years, we will face an enemy that has consumed entire galaxies. Everything we have built, everything we have learned, everything we have sacrificed will be put to the ultimate test." Dr. Zara Veltash thought about her research, about the 10,000 years of human deception that had led to this moment. "Ambassador, do you believe we can win?" Wilson's expression was serious but confident. "Dr. Veltash, 52 years ago, the galaxy was divided into hundreds of competing civilizations. Today we stand united as never before. We have combined the knowledge and strengths of nearly 1,000 different species. We have technologies that our enemies have never encountered, and strategies they cannot predict." She smiled, and for the first time since Zara had known her, the smile seemed completely genuine. "But most importantly, we have something that our enemies lost long ago when they chose the path of consumption and destruction. We have something worth fighting for. We have each other." As Zara looked around the command center at the representatives of dozens of species working together, she realized that the humans had given the galaxy something more valuable than military victory. They had given them unity, purpose, and hope. The Watchers had become the Watched. But in the end, they had all become something greater together than any of them could have been alone.